Okay, today we're going to be calculating fraction, decimal and percentage equivalence. So leading on from last week, I'm adding in percentages into the equivalence between fractions and decimals as well. How are you going to be successful? Today we're going to understand that percentages are other ways of representing fractions and decimals, and I'm going to be using the phrase out of 100 quite a lot today. Use my knowledge of converting between fractions and decimals that you had last week, and use the bar model to help you understand what the question is asking you to do. So, first of all, I want you to have a look at the help sheet. This is what I'm going to be using throughout the lesson to convert between fraction, decimals and percentages, and each one in their own colour has a little tip on how to do it. So I'm going to be referring to that. But first, what is a percentage? A percentage literally means per 100 pieces. So I will be using out of 100. So to convert 10% into a fraction, I will be saying I have 10 out of 100. So in my percentage, my whole will be represented as 100%. Which means if I divided my whole into 10 parts, each one of these will be 10%. So 10% must be 10 out of 100, which I can simplify as 1/10. So if I wanted 30% as a fraction, then I would say that is 30 out of 100, and I can simplify that to 3/10. So now let's look at converting fractions into percentages and percentages back to fractions. So first of all, I have this fraction. In order to make it a percentage, I need to go through a decimal first. So to make this fraction a decimal, I'm going to divide the numerator by the denominator. And we did that yesterday, and I remember that as being 0.75. So now I can go to my help sheet, and I can say, right, to get from a decimal to a percentage, I'm going to multiply that by 100 and add my percentage sign. So it's 0.75 multiplied by 100, because a percentage is out of 100, and that's going to be 75%. Let's have a look at 3/5 then. So 3/5, this time I am going to need to do my bus stop. So remember, it's 3 divided by 5. My first digit goes on the inside, so I ask myself how many 5s go into 3, which will be 0. So I carry that 3 the other side of the decimal point, and how many 5s go into 30 will be 6. Converting that now into a percentage, I'm going to multiply 100 by 100, and I'm going to add my percentage sign. You should start to see the pattern within those, fairly simple. Going back then, in order to go back, I'm going to need to start with my percentage and divide that by 100 and remove the sign. So I very simply converted it back into a decimal. Now I know that is 0.2 because 20 100ths will be the same as 2/10, and I know that I have my 2/10 here. So to go back from my decimal to my fraction, just like you did yesterday, I'm only working in the tenths column, so I'm going to put it over 10. 65%, let's start again, divide it by 100 and take away my my percentage sign. And now I know, remember from yesterday, that this now goes into the hundredths, so I'm going to put it over 100. And I need to make sure that I simplify that. I've divided numerator and denominator by 5. Okay, your tasks today. There is a help sheet to remind you of how to convert between the 3 things. Task 1 is to fill in the missing digits. Do a bit of fluency, converting between decimals, fractions and percentages. And task 2, I'd like you to order these decimal fractions and percentages. You'll need to decide on whether you are going to convert them all into fractions, into decimals or into percentages. And I'd like to explain why you have made that particular choice. After that, there's a task 3 extension. Write a fraction that is greater than those two decimals, and write a decimal that is greater than those two fractions. Answers are all at the bottom as normal.